forgot to record an intro to this video and to the video before and any outros, mostly because these videos were originally created for a university course that I teach. So, hi, my name is Colleen. I research and teach Japanese traditional instruments. This video is the second part to a two-part series on why shamisen is so gosh darn cool. So if you want to see that first part, please click on the link that's probably somewhere in the screen right now. But other than that, please enjoy the video. And if you have any questions on Japanese traditional music or any other topics you would like me to cover or pieces, please tell me in the comments and I hopefully will get to them at some point in time. Other than that, I hope you enjoy.
Now, if we take that to the next level, not only was shamisen constructed to play music on each string through different colors, so each string having a different color, but shamisen also has the flexibility to be changed to overall change the main color. So right now I'm playing on a very interesting setup. I actually have a bamboo koma on my instrument right now, and this is not typical traditional koma. This is actually pretty new modern koma. It's great for practice. I would not use this in a performance. And the reason why this is so great for practice is it's sturdy, so it doesn't break easily, but it still has a really nice, rich, loud, percussive sound. So it's great for practice, not something I would use for performance. But if I was going to perform a piece, a traditional piece, first I have to decide what is the genre, because every genre of shamisen changes the tools shamisen uses and sometimes changes the actual shamisen instrument itself to be able to express more effectively the type of music that genre was built to express. So, for example, let's make a big dramatic change. I want to do one of the oldest shamisen genres out there, jiuta. It isn't the oldest. Ichubushi is usually considered one of the oldest, but it's pretty darn old, jiuta. It's one of the singing genres. And because of that, because it's very singy and very long and lyrical, we want the shamisen to also sound lyrical. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means right now, the shamisen I'm playing on with my practice koma or my practice bridge is very loud and percussive. Not the sweetest, most lyrical sound you've ever heard. So let's change that. The way I'm going to change that is first, let's change the koma or the bridge. So if I was to take this off and instead put on my juta koma, here is the difference between them both. So the juta koma is a lot wider. It is actually taller, which is hard to see here. Can we see it like that? It's actually shorter than my practice bamboo koma, and they're made out of different materials. My juta koma is made out of a water buffalo horn. If we look inside, my bamboo koma is hollow on the inside, so it's actually quite light. Where you can see actually inside my juta koma, we have two little weights placed inside to make it heavier and to affect the sound. These weights I have inside mine are just lead, so it's not actually the best sound ever. Better, more expensive bridges will actually put gold and other metals in there that vibrate much better. So when I place this koma on, here's the difference in sound. And I'm playing in honshoshi right now, that tuning of honshoshi. Which right away should have a much darker quality to it, much richer. The notes suspend for much longer. And as we've explained with shamisen, depending on the piece we're playing, shamisen is free to move the pitches up and down. So for this next piece I want to play, since I need to sing, and I know I don't have the lowest singing voice, especially in comparison to female Japanese singers, I'm going to raise the pitch a little bit. All right, so for my new raised tuning, we have this. Warm sound. Now, we don't stop there. We also need to change one more thing. So the piece I was playing before, I was playing on this nice little beautiful ivory bachi or plectrum. However, we want to have a much longer lyrical sound. And this, because it's small and light, makes it really easy to hit the shamisen hard and make a percussive sound, but it's not nearly as effective making long lyrical warm pitches. So to do that, we take out this beast. We take out our jutabachi. Now, mine, once again, I don't have the most expensive jutabachi. I actually have a cheaper one, so mine's made out of plastic. Generally, really nice jutabachis are made out of the water buffalo horn. Again, a combination of wood, water buffalo horn, and sometimes ivory, depending on what you have paid for. But anyhow, you will notice right away, in comparison to the bachi I was using before, this one is significantly bigger and longer and heavy. I cannot express how heavy this bachi is, and it really does hurt my wrists if I'm not careful when I'm playing. If I use too much of my wrist and not enough of the natural weight of the bachi itself when I perform, I will start having wrist pains. Good players stay relaxed and they're not forcing it with muscles. They let it just be the natural weight of the bachi itself. Okay, so to show what this looks like all together, we have the shamisen, we have the water buffalo koma or bridge, and we have our bigger bachi. Compared to what I was doing before I was playing in the middle of our bachikawa, or the skin, the moon-shaped skin in the middle of our shamisen that protects the overall skin of our shamisen from the bachi or plectrum itself. Instead of playing in the middle, like I was before, which gives us that more percussive, loud sound, I'm actually going to move up the bachi and play closer to the wood, which softens up the sound. So once again, the things that I have changed the koma. We have a shorter koma, a wider koma made out of water buffalo's horn. I have changed the bachi, the plectrum itself. It's much bigger, it's a lot heavier. And I'm changing the location I'm playing at. Now, you could also, when you play juta, you also change the shape of the shamisen itself. There are 3 types of shamisen. There is the hosozao, the thinnest shamisen, chuzao, which is the middle shamisen, and futazao, which is the fattest shamisen. Right now, I'm playing on a hosozao. This is the thinnest shamisen. It means the neck is really thin. It means that the neck tapers off right before it hits the body of the shamisen. If you place it this way, it tapers off before you hit the body of the shamisen, which means it is harder to actually play high notes, because when we play high, you end off of the neck and it's hard to create those pitches. And the overall body of the shamisen is a little bit smaller. So if I was playing a true juta style, not only would I change the bridge, not only would I change the bachi itself, I would also change the shamisen from a hosozao to a chuzao, a thin shamisen to the middle-sized shamisen. So the neck would be a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. This extend almost all the way to the body before it tapers off, and the body itself would be a little bit thicker. However, I don't have it. All I have is a hosozao because that's my main playing style. So I am just going to change the bridge and the bachi. Now, what's really cool about shamisen, the more I experimented with it, just by changing the bridge and the bachi is enough to start mimicking the other shamisen's sounds. So it actually does a lot to change the shamisen, even though I can't have the actual instrument. So once again, we get this sound. And we're in the same tuning of sansagari. which means my third string is pushed down. So if I was to show you briefly what a juta piece might sound like, a good piece to start with is kurokami, which means black hair. It is considered a beginner piece, like Rokudan no Shirabe, and you have to sing while you play. It is standard for shamisen juta players to sing while they play. So you would get a sound like this. So some interesting things to note about this juta shamisen is all of the sliding. So this particular piece is about a woman waiting for her lover to come back and that pain of waiting. Why doesn't he come? Where is he? And so we get that through this really kind of whiny, unsettled sound in the shamisen. For example, if we go back to this shamisen solo, there's a lot of focus on the second string, which once again, it's a little bit more muted sound. Then we have this great slide. Right? It just, you can feel it in your gut. If we wanted to make it easier, we actually could go to the third string like this. But that gives the piece an overall different feeling. Once again. Versus then what's interesting is after this really slidey, moody sound on the second string, we instantly go back to the third string, which is a much harsher sound. So we go from this to the third string. And then even higher. Which has this kind of painful prick to it. If we had kept on the second string, it would have sounded something more like this. Which overall has a different effect. This is the heart of what makes shamisen interesting. It is the changing of strings depending on what emotion you want to portray, as well as changing the physical shamisen tools and the shamisen itself to have a different expression. let's show this through another example. Now, let's change our bridge again. I'm going to play Nagauta, so juta to Nagauta. So once again, two very different bridges. The Nagauta bridge, unlike the juta bridge, is hollow on the inside. The Nagauta bridge is made out of ivory. This is made out of water buffalo, but it's very light, it's very thin, and it's also very tall compared to the juta koma, and a little bit thinner. So if I was to put this on, I would get this sound. So right away, a much brighter sound. So once again, we get this sound. So, once again, we can't play on this big bachi because this is for a much more lyrical genre. So we're going to switch to my thinner ivory bachi. It's much lighter. Let me play a little bit faster. We are going to play a little bit farther down in the middle of our bachikawa, a little bit more in the middle of the body, so it has a much more percussive sound. And we are going to play a piece, still in this sansagari tuning, that is part of the singing genre, just like juta, but you will notice right away the type of singing is very different and the shamisen playing is very different. Now, for Nagauta, usually the shamisen player is not the singer. All shamisen players learn the singing part, but generally when we perform, we do it separately. We have a singer and we have a shamisen player. There's two separate roles. The reason for this is because the shamisen part is so extravagant and so busy, it's really, really hard to do both at the same time. However, today I'm going to do both at the same time, so forgive my horrible singing. And this is what Nagauta would sound like. The piece I'm going to play is Echigo Jishi, which is about the line dance in Echigo, and really talking about all the famous things you can find in Echigo and all the famous food, though this particular part is about the line dance itself. This is Echigo Jishi. In the middle, it's not the whole piece, but here's a part from it. Hey, ya. Hey, ya. Hey, ya. Oi, nanda da guchi da e. Botan wa botan ne do echigo mo shishi wa. the shamisen is a lot louder, it's a lot busier. As you can see in the instrumental little parts, we have a... So there's a lot more movement going on. The sound is overall clearer. We don't have as much whiny sliding going on, which is kind of typical of the Nagauta sound. We want a much more clean sound, a fun sound. Not to say that Nagauta shamisen doesn't get moody. It definitely has its moody, over-emotional moments. Another example of shamisen, and I'm going to stay in the world of kabuki and Nagauta because Nagauta is a really weird genre. Nagauta was really formed on the back of many other shamisen genres. It stole from other shamisen genres. If there was something popular, a popular trend, it took it in. And so there's a lot within Nagauta that we can find in other genres as well. And one interesting thing that we have in Nagauta is a joruri style shamisen. Joruri is the puppet style. It's a narrative style. It's more about the shamisen being overly expressive than it is about singing and being necessarily lyrical, or they're both musical, but being lyrical. And the particular style that Nagauta mimics is something called ozatsuma style shamisen. Now, ozatsuma itself actually has died out. The genre has died out. It doesn't exist anymore, but it's still alive through what Nagauta has stolen and incorporated into its own music. And it is very indicative of what the narrative genres of shamisen style is like. So if we use the example, Kura Mayama, which is tied to the tale of Heikei, we get this really dramatic opening. Generally in Nagauta music, ozatsuma style is used when something heroic is about to happen or something powerful is happening, when you want this feeling of strength and raw anger almost. Usually the ozatsuma style pops out. And so we get that at the very beginning of this particular piece, and it sounds something like this. But you can see right away, the style is much more progressive. Generally, it's actually separated between singer and shamisen player because, as you can see, the shamisen part and the singing part are really intensive, and it's supposed to have this feeling of them talking to each other, calling to each other, responding to each other, influencing each other. Both the shamisen and the singer play equal roles of being leaders within the music. Let's change our shamisen one last time. we want to make my shamisen into a futaso, a big fat shamisen. And so we can play minyo or folk music. So we're going to change the koma again. You can see how thin and teeny tiny this koma is compared to the one I just played with. This one is made out of bamboo. It's almost as tall as my Nagauta koma. Both of them are hollow on the inside, but this one is significantly thinner and smaller. Now, the trick here, since my shamisen is a thin shamisen, to make it sound like a fat shamisen, we've got to put this koma in the center of the shamisen. So instead of having the koma or the bridge back here, we're going to center it up, and then we're going to get this sound. Here is my sound after I've lowered the pitches. So I'm going to change my bachi again. This is pretty similar to what I was playing before, but a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, made out of wood. Now, if I was doing a true futazao, I could play much more in the center of my shamisen. However, I don't have a bachikawa or a skin here to protect my main skin from my pectrum. So I will not be playing in the center of my shamisen, but we have this sound. Pretty cool. So, for example, you can play a piece like this. This is Honbayashi, which is part of the Hanawa Bayashi, or the Hanawa Festival of Music, up in Akita Prefecture. And it sounds something like this. Fundamentals of shamisen, the idea of the three different strings purposely sounding different. This doesn't happen in koto, this doesn't happen with Okinawa zanshin. This is a very main island Japanese unique technique for shamisen only. The idea of expressing music through different timbres, that can be found in most of Japanese instruments. But the instrument itself actually having three different sounds constructed into one instrument, that's very unique to shamisen.